Hey everyone, this is Ferg from Pinball Electronica, and today we'll be talking about a great Atari 2600 game called Midnight Magic. This is, of course, based on David's Midnight Magic, which is a Broderbund game that came out in 1982, first for the Apple II computer, and then later on for the Commodore 64, the Atari 8-bits, and the Atari XEGS. David's Midnight Magic was done by David Snyder, who also did the game Serpentine for the Apple II, and a program called Dazzle Draw, also for the Apple II. He based the table in Midnight Magic on Black Knight, which I think came out in 1979. It's a really excellent pinball table. The Atari 2600 version came out in 1986. And if you'll recall, 1986 was when the fun was back for Atari. This is a 16K cart. That means that 8 kabooms can fit inside this cart. And it was programmed by Glenn Axworthy. And as far as I can tell, this is the only game he did for the 2600. I did find a little bit about him online. He has done a lot of work on many other Broderbund titles, and he's done that as late as 2013. So despite the similar name and the Broderbund copyright, this is a much different game than David's Midnight Magic. The table takes up the middle half of the screen, so it looks more like an actual size pinball table than Video Pinball did. There's not much color in this game. Most of the table is purple. That color will change as you hit the drop targets and advance the multiplier, but it's mostly purple. The targets are different colors, but a lot of them are encased in purple as well. There are 2 sets of flippers in Midnight Magic. There are 2 in the center of the table. They're on the left and right edges of the table, and there are 2 on the bottom in the usual spot where flippers go. If you push left or right on the joystick, that will activate the left or right flipper by themselves, and you pull back to flip all the flippers at once. Die-hard video pinball fans for the 2600, this may be a problem for you because the control is the opposite for both flippers. There is a difficulty setting in Midnight Magic. If you have it in B, there's a center post that's between the 2 flippers on the bottom, and there are outlane kickers, and both of those are activated when you have it in difficulty B. In difficulty A, they are not there when you start the game, but they will be activated by hitting the drop target at the top that has the arrow on it. So to start playing the game, you just pull back on the stick when the ball is on the plunger, and then you press the button to launch the ball. You get 5 balls per player, and you can have 1 or 2 players using the select button. You have many different pinball targets on the table. You have the drop targets, as I mentioned, that are on the top. A bunch of mushroom bumpers. There are 2 rollovers at the top left and right of the table, and you also have a spinner target pretty much smack dab in the middle of the table. You can increase the score multiplier by hitting all 5 drop targets. That will multiply your score by whatever number that is, and that's seen on the playfield, and it'll go in numerical order. When the score multiplier is on, if you hit the rollover targets at the top, you can get an extra ball. And the rollovers will also advance the drop target arrow 1 target. So, for instance, you have the 5 drop targets in a row. If you hit a rollover target and the arrow is on 1 in the middle, it will advance to the next one. If you hit the spinner, though, the arrow will keep advancing quickly until the spinner stops spinning. One thing that Midnight Magic is missing that Video Pinball had is the nudge feature and also a tilt. In Video Pinball, you could press the button and move the joystick to kind of guide the ball in a kind of a crude attempt at nudging, and then if you did that too much, you could tilt, but neither of those are present here in the game. The graphics in Midnight Magic are terrific. Despite the sameness of the color, I really like the graphics in this. The ball physics are a little bit on the slow side, but they're still pretty good. The sounds are good, but they're very sparse. There's not a lot of sound going on like you would hear in a real pinball table. That's probably the same for Video Pinball as well. You do have a short opening and closing theme, which are both polyphonic, and they sound great. Usually the polyphonic themes in the 2600 games have some bum notes in them, but these sound really good. So this game may have been a victim of the video game crash. The in-game copyright date is 1984, but the release date is 1986. The artwork on this is kind of odd. It features the table graphics, which were similar to the computer version of Midnight Magic, which I said is unlike this one. And there are also hands gripping paddle controllers, pressing the buttons on the paddle controllers, which is actually the control scheme for Spectre Video's Bumper Bash, which I'm sure we'll be talking about at some point. On the original version of Midnight Magic, you cannot use the paddle buttons to control the flippers. But if you go on Atari Age, it has been hacked by Nuki Shea to allow you to use the paddles to control the flippers and the plunger. So that's a really cool idea if you guys want to check that out. As I said, this is not a straight port of David's Midnight Magic, but it's a great version of Pinball on the 2600. I highly recommend it. It's very cheap to pick up on eBay. Loose carts went for around $5, and you could get a brand new in-the-box version of Midnight Magic for less than $20. Be sure to stay tuned to Pinball Electronica for all your pixelated pinball needs. And Pinball Electronica is brought to you by Arcade USA. And if you'd like to see more videos of all kinds of classic games, please give Arcade USA a like on YouTube. Thanks for watching.
Now, if you have a favorite electronic pinball game you'd like to share, come over to the Facebook page and share either a picture, a memory, or even a video. Love to see what kind of electronic pinball games that you enjoy.